See, we're getting a smaller man and then one camera would do this. Welcome back again to our highest made series. This time we're looking at the 925. So 925 dump trailer is a relatively new dump trailer for us. It's a Hardox body trailer with a heavy duty BPW rocking beam. So we're here in bay one, and as you can see, it's very early stages in production here. There's assembly parts lying everywhere. We'll have rear underrun sitting here with the start of the mudguard brackets with the arms for the rear door, and then down towards the back here, you can see starting to tack together the rear doors on the trailer. So see on it, Hardox, you can see the writing on the plates in here. The guys have the strengthened frame all marked round, all the cutouts in it. It's tacked together here. It's clamped down onto a nice bit of heavy plate to keep everything nice and square and true, as it's been built as a sub-assembly off the trailer. So it's all clamped down, tacked up. The guys will weld this up and then it'll be set ready to go for paint. They're predominantly built in two bays. You'll have bottom chassis and then it'll be welded out, and then the guys will start to build the top chassis on top of that. Lots of parts sitting about here, parts waiting to go in for fabrication, parts that have been fabrication. So these are the side arms for the rear door that we're just after looking at. So they're all welded up, they're sitting ready, bossed up, ready for paint. Again, we have chassis parts spread about. There's parts for the front chassis there. You can see the distinctive shape of the front of the trailer sitting there. On the other side here, we have the main support beam for the rocking bogies bolt on, and then you have the start of your fabricated chassis. So your fabricated chassis parts are here, which are all put together and then welded into position. So over here we have the parts starting for the front of the trailer. So this is the front plate in the trailer. You can see the eyelets cut out of it. You have the slot down through it for where the drawbar comes in. There's the cross braces for going across the trailer, and then there's your plates there with the holes in them there for the rear pivot points. So all the parts are sitting here for the fabricated chassis. You have brackets for the side there, brake brackets, other wee bits and pieces. The mount for the rocking springs is there as well. It's not a sprung drawbar as such. We use, in this instance, we use a large rubber damper as opposed to a spring in this setup. So again, here we're into the bay. The chassis is being welded up here. As you can see, it's taking on more of your standard bottom chassis. In fact, the rocking bogies are in, the BPW rocking bogies are in. So as I said, this is a fabricated chassis for the sheer weight of material going through. It has to be a much more robust chassis on this trailer for that extra, essentially 5 ton of gross. And also with this trailer, the fact that it's not, the rams aren't in the typical position that you would usually see in a dump trailer. On most dump trailers, the rams are either single pot underneath or they're 2 rams underneath the body. Where in this trailer, the ram is at the front, more like a commercial trailer, like a commercial tipping trailer. In bay one, they're doing the sub-assemblies, rear door. They're starting to tack together the chassis and the parts for bay 2. It's moved to bay 2, and then bay 2, the guys weld it up. They'll get the axles in and positioned. They get the ram boxes in, the bosses tacked in, get all the measurements checked. Trailer's then flipped, and they start to build the top body onto this. So as I said, on the standard 300 series, we have a channel section or a U-section beam which comes round, and then we plate it up along the outside with 10mm plate to give the strength in it. In this instance here, it's a fabricated beam, so it's got a double skin. So we have 10mm plate this side, we have our 15mm plates top and bottom to brace it in, and then we have an internal plate as well to create a boxing effect on the chassis. So it's a very, very heavy duty fabricated chassis. The drawbar's heavy duty as well. So again, we have double mounting points on the back for connecting it to the chassis. We have our strengthening plates in the middle here. So this is the plate that the rubber mounts head onto on the drawbar for your cushioning action, like your sprung drawbar. So again, with that, it puts a lot of force onto the drawbar. So there has been a lot of FEA and calculations done on this plate and how it reacts with the beam. And as you can see, there's a cutout here, there's no welding. So that's a cutout, that's a stress relieving cutout, because that's a high stress point on it. Again, where it's welded, there's places that it's welded, there's places that it's not. That's all done as well, because if the welds go on down, you have to do runoff welds. You're trying to eliminate high points of stress where the weld will cause a fracture. So there's a lot of detail been put into that. Again, coming down into the toe and eye on this trailer as well, you have your breakaways, your breakaway couplings, and then this is on to, you've heard of the Char Muller, the ball and spoon hitch that I like so much. Well, this is a category 4, where they're category 3 hitch. This is a category 4. I suppose it's a ball and pin essentially for a drawbar, whereas you would be used with the ball and spoon that Char Muller are famous for. So this is a much heavier. This is for the Canadian market. So they call this, Char Muller call this a Canadian hitch. Because you can see there's a lot more in it. There's a lot more involved in it. So we do the standard rock and bogie on our normal trailers. This is a much heavier duty axle set specifically for this trailer. So this rock and bogie is rated for 30 ton at 40k. BPW are very good in agri axles. I like the BPW axles, but it's a heavy duty set. There's nobody else builds a rock and bogie set like this. As you'll see, there's central greasing points on it, so easy accessible greasing points at the side here, so you're not crawling about in underneath the body trying to grease your axles and all. So they're all nicely positioned out to the side. This is becoming more popular on tankers, on dump trailers, and everything. This comes, it doesn't come as standard, but it comes factory fitted. We retrofit this to lots of tankers and trailers as we're building them as well. So easy greasing points. Each of these hubs is rated for 7.5 ton. So you have 7.5 ton here, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5. So that's 15 ton on your front axle, 15 ton on your rear axle. With your Char Muller hitch, it's rated for 4 ton on the hitch. So the maximum design of this trailer is 34 ton. This rock and bogie it's more for, it's a European style bogie. So this trailer is perfectly legal to be used in the UK or in Europe. It just depends on the size of the wheel that you put on for the restrictions. They have no restrictions on width in Canada. So they put the big 845s on these trailers, but you could get away with 710s in the UK or 650s in the UK and run this trailer no problem. Moving around to the rear, you can see heavy duty plates. You can see the back of your suspension here. You can see the points coming up through for the tipping points. So you can see how big the pins are going to be going through the back of this. So saying to you about the pivot points, you can see just how heavy duty this is going to be. That's the pivots for the back of the trailer. So this is a heavy duty trailer. This is built for doing a lot of work. And again, rear underrun, we'll put the rear underrun for the Canadian, but this is more like a European, British. This is coming in whole vehicle type approval. There'll be rear underrun, side impact, all that coming in. So we've left the provision in the trailer to future-proof it for the UK, Irish, European market. So up to this stage, there's been a lot of man-hours in the bottom chassis, a lot of prep work on the sub-assemblies. As you can see, drawbars into this trailer now. We've got the boss in for checking the alignment on the axles to make sure that the axles are running true. As you start to come through, you see the way the drawbars picked up and the support on the front of the trailer. You're moving down, the brackets are starting to go on for handbrakes, for air fittings, coming down through to the back of your drawbar. So on a standard drawbar, the boss goes through the center of the box section of the channel section, and this, it's gusseted out and plated, so it's a much heavier installation on the rear of a drawbar. As I say, this is a much more heavy duty trailer, and you can see that in the design and the fabrication of this trailer. It's built for a purpose. Next stage from this is the trailer's flipped over and the guys start to put the top chassis on, build the top chassis. Once the chassis is all tacked together, as you see in the next bay, they'll split it off and then they'll start moving the chassis around for welding. Then they weld it up, it's flipped over, moved into the next bay, and the guys start on the top bodies. There's two different elements, depending on how specific it is. There'll be paper drawings, but they'll have paper drawings for these, and they'll also have the 3D models at the back where they can go in, reference it, see where parts sit, see where there's interferences, clearances. They can also measure on that as well, just to confirm measurements that aren't readily available on your drawing, because on an A4 drawing it's very hard to scale off it, whereas they go onto the computer, they're scaling 1:1 on the computer screen. So it just gives them that visual representation of the machine, and it gives them a better understanding of how things can go together. So again, we're here, the chassis has been flipped over. You can see the drawbars in, the rubber mounts are on for the suspension, the drawbar suspension. You have your cast links in for the tipping cylinder at the front. So your bottom chassis at this stage is in its complete state. And then behind it you'll see where they have had the top chassis on the body to get everything tacked up, everything lined up, and then the guys are starting to weld these out. So on the front, so normally you'll see on drawbars, on trailers, that you'll have the conventional two springs, one either side, or like our grain trailers, you'll see the springs at the back and they're pivoting around this point. On this trailer here, we're using, because it's a much heavier installation, we're using two rubber mounts. So the rubber mount acts like a spring as well and will compress under, but we think this is a slightly better solution on this because you're not getting the point loads of the welds underneath where the cross members come across. So it's distributing your load of your spring across more of the drawbar. So again, on the front, it's a different style ram. It's more like a commercial installation. So people will be used to the single cylinder. It's a trunnion style ram with the positioning. So the pin at the bottom lets the ram move about as opposed to your standard plates where the pin goes through. This is a trunnion, so these are cast links bolted into the front of the trailer as opposed to the standard heavy plate welded into the trailer. Better job, so if you get and wearing your trunnion, your cast trunnion link, you can remove that, bolt it out, bolt a new one in. If it's all well greased. If it's well greased and maintained, it'll not wear. At this stage here, we'll have the body now. The body's sitting upside down, so the chassis has been brought in here. Our top chassis rails have been put into position with our rear pivot points. Then they're starting to bring in the Hardox sheets. So your Hardox base plate, your Hardox sides, your Hardox front, your bulge bars, your front position mounts for your trunnion ram for where the ram goes on the front. This will be set here. It's all tacked into position, and then the guys start to weld through it. But as you can see, sort of slightly on this here, this is all Hardox body. Now you can't really notice, you see the Hardox 450. It's just cut off there with a weld. So on the Hardox sides, they all come in from Hardox themselves, because Hardox is notoriously hard to bend with the grain in the sheet and the tonnage required to bend it. And some of the folds in this are very complex. For us to fold this, we need a massive press brake, massively long press brake, and a massively high ton press brake and tooling, specialised tooling specifically for this. So we bring these sides in from Hardox. So Hardox, they manufactured, they understand the principles and the requirements needed to fold and press this material, so you can be assured that this is done to the highest engineering standards by the manufacturer of the material. You see the mud yards have been tacked into position. This is the main centre part of the mud yard. We had seen previously the curved edges for the front, which go in the bottom chassis. So the mud yards are tacked into position. They're bolt on and off. So as we go through, everything's starting to come together. So, you know, it's all into the hidden detail as well. Small things that you never really pay any attention to. So you can see here the bracket for the side light. The side light's recessed inside the mud yard. So the cutout here for the side light sits back in so that it's flush, so it can't get damaged. But even down to the square holes cut, so the cable goes across here, so the cable tie fits through. So, you know, really small details, you know, that you never think about until you go to wire the trailer up, is where's the cable running, how am I attaching the cable. So, you know, these things are thought out as well in the process. You can start to see the rear pivot that we spoke about earlier, how heavy duty this rear pivot is. Look at the size of that rear pin going through. It's a hollow section bar, but it's got 15 mil wall. So that's heavy duty, you know, heavy duty pivot on this, on the trailer. In and around the back, you have your braces in, you have your cutouts for the parts coming in through. You're starting to bring in here for the brake lights, etc., where they're all going on. So everything's here, it's welded up. Underneath, inside, it'll be on its sides to get the welding done, and then this will be flipped over, married up again with the bottom chassis, and then it'll be rolled out for shot blast and paint. There's a lot of welding. There's a serious amount of welding and a serious amount of heavy welding. So you're talking, you know, you have single passes in places, you have triple passes in places, you know, and it's welding, and it's the stresses that go into that and the bending that goes on when you're welding as well. So it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work by the guys. Behind you, you have the big overhead cranes. So they each have dual cranes on them. So the guys are craning them up, they're lifting them up, they're dropping them down. They can work the two cranes independently. They're setting them down. So even moving these parts is difficult. They're heavy parts to be moving and manipulating within the factory. So you have to have all the right gear. No time ago we were making, we're making single axle silage trailers, in the 80s, a 6-ton trailer, and then I went to a big 8-ton tandem trailer as a silage trailer, into dump trailers, a 6-ton dump trailer, single axle, 8-ton, 10-ton, 12-ton. Now a 10 tons rarely seen. It's 12, 14, 16s. It used to be 18 and then 20. 18s have disappeared because there's very little difference between 18 and 20. It's now 14, 16s, 20s, and now into the 25s. And again, this is going off highway. There's nothing to stop them going bigger again. But if it's on highway, you're limited to your maximum permissible weight on highway. But if it's off highway, it could be any weight. So here we are, we're standing in our PDA bay. So the trailer at this stage, it's come through the fabrication, it's come out, it's went into to get prepped for shot blast. So the top and bottom bodies split, trailer's backed in, shot blasted down in preparation for the paint. Same with the top chassis, it's set onto a jig, it's shot blasted and prepped for paint as well. Bottom chassis goes in, gets its undercoat, a 2-pack epoxy undercoat, then it's cured off, then the top coat goes on, and that's a 2-pack polyurethane top coat. It's cured as well, baked, set out, top bodies painted as well, the same process, shot blasted base material, 2-pack epoxy undercoat, and the 2-pack polyurethane top coat. Took down into the fitting out, bodies are joined together, and the guys start going through the process of fitting them out. So then, this is another process we haven't shown you in the chain of events at NC. So every machine that comes out of the NC factory, after it has been fully assembled, it goes through what we call PDI, pre-delivery inspection. So we look at the machines, we go around, we check the stickers, we check the hoses, we check the lights, we check the torques on the wheels, we check torques and suspensions. We go around the machine fully. As you can see, the bay we have here, there's lots of light in it, so we can see for imperfections. If there's any imperfections, we can get in underneath the trailers, we can walk in to check for the bolts underneath, check suspensions underneath, check wiring roots, hydraulic hoses. We also test the machines. We clamp them down by the toe and eye, plug in the hydraulics, we test all the hydraulic functions, we test the electrical functions to make sure that the machines are fit for purpose and ready to go when they hit the farms. Here we are, in underneath one of the trailers in the PDA booth. As you can see, very heavy, strong structure. Gives you this perfect access for underneath the machines to see everything. So this is the side of the machine that you never really see, or if the guys are working on it, they're seeing this on a roller board. They're rolling in underneath it to work on it. So this gives us the best view of underneath the trailer. You can see everything. You can see your brakes coming through, the bolts coming through, the wee rollers, handbrake, post holes. As we move further back, you'll see on the slack adjusters, the auto greasers on this trailer, the brakes. It gives you the first class view of everything. It's an MOT centre for NC. Like for example, this trailer, there's a slack adjuster, there's a faulty slack adjuster on it. So Robert caught that in PDA. So we're waiting on a slack adjuster to replace on this here. So they test everything, it's the fail safe, it's that last point of contact. So when the customer comes to lift this machine, we are 100% satisfied with this machine. If it's not right, there's a big yellow rework sticker goes in the front of it, and it doesn't leave here until it's fixed. So you've heard me saying before, the green sticker, this is where the green sticker's applied. So Robert McGuinness works in here, and Robert's very thorough in everything that he does. And if a machine's not right, he will not put a sticker on. So any rework that's required, rework's carried out, parts are ordered, work's done. When that's done, it comes back into Robert again. Robert gives it the final thumbs up. It gets green stickered, and it's out into the yard. And once there's a green sticker on it, means it's good to ship, so it's on to transport, and it's the transport manager's problem then. And he ships stuff all over the world. So here we are, end of our line. Biggest dump trailer that we currently manufacture, the 925. Unconventional layout in an agri trailer, in a common agri trailer. You have your drawbar, but we have a ram mounted on the front. Again, all hydraulics on this trailer, front mud flaps, onto more of a European style handbrake, winding handbrake as opposed to a lever pull handbrake. As we come round the side here to look at it, you can see very heavy duty Hardox throughout the whole body. So this bulge bar is folded Hardox. Galvanized headboard on this trailer as well, bolt on. So you can bolt it on, bolt it off. But again, it's big, it's there to protect your ram on the front. So heap loads, it's giving plenty of protection to the front of your trailer. Galvanized mud guards, front and rear flaps on it. 25 miles per hour max speed on it because of the width. And again, we're on the 845 26.5 tires. So there's a big set of goodies on this. Big set of goodies. Round to the rear end, as you can see, just look how chunky those wheels are. Massive, massive wheels on this here. Again, rear underrun bar in the back, warning triangle. You get to see the rear chassis, the fabricated chassis. You get in here, you see the tipping points. Look at the size of those tipping points. It is designed for purpose. This is a heavy duty workhorse of a trailer. So we had a customer reach out to us looking for a bigger, heavy duty trailer. So they wanted a bigger version of the 320 dump trailer, but they wanted it with the more of a mechanical door on it. So this is the trailer that we looked at. This is the trailer we designed. Still on the tandem as opposed to going into triaxle trailers, because triaxle puts a lot of extra cost into a trailer. And with the length for the volume of what they're carrying, leaves them that they can be very hard to steer as well. So again, still on the rock and bogie tandem axle, but with that added capacity, that 25-ton capacity that the customer required. This is built for Canadian market, but this is very much onto the shape and design that you'll see a lot more on the continent, on into your Joskins, your Krampa, your, those type trailers. So we're looking at it as it's a Canadian trailer, but we're looking to push much more into the European market with this style of trailer.